Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. So, listen, there's a couple more verses from Proverbs chapter 15 that I want to read to you. They're kind of self-explanatory, but I want to give a couple of illustrations, I guess, to start it off, and then just drive it home with these verses. So, when I was in seminary, one of my seminary professors, he was very, very popular professor in seminary. I graduated in 93. I'm going to say if you were to talk to anybody that went to Southwestern in the 70s, 80s, and at least through the first half of the 90s, and you said his name, they would immediately know who he was. He's an author. I've got some of his books back there on my shelf. He was just very, very well respected in his field, but he had some particular struggles in regards to his family life. And one day he was talking to another professor there, and the other professor was talking about his family and about things that were good that were going on, and this other professor pointed to his arm and he said, "I would give this to be able to say that." And it just kind of struck me that, you know, there are things that we think are so valuable that we would freely give up in order to find some peace, some other things that make us happy. I hope this will begin to make sense in a minute. I thought of Solomon, the book of Ecclesiastes. If you want to read a good little book of the Bible, you can read Ecclesiastes. In fact, I may do it when I'm finished with Proverbs. I may go through it with you guys. Solomon was, according to the Bible, he was the wisest man that has ever lived. There was no one as wise as him before him. There was no one as wise as him after him. He was also one of the richest men that ever lived. King of Israel, probably their king, his father, after his father David during their heyday, but Israel was still in its heyday. Solomon had the world at his fingertips. There was nothing that Solomon wanted that he couldn't get for himself and that he couldn't obtain for himself. And Ecclesiastes is really about his search for happiness. And he says he built houses. He says if he wanted gardens, he built gardens. If he wanted a party, he would have the biggest, grandest party that there could ever be. If he wanted people, he gathered people around him. Whatever Solomon wanted, he obtained. Whatever he thought would bring him happiness, he went for it. And you know what he said in the end? He said, it's all vanity. In other words, he said, it's all empty. And all of it is just like chasing the wind. In fact, as he concludes it all at the end, he says, really what I've discovered is it's just about being in a relationship with God. And that's where we really find the happiness and the peace. And that's where the real treasure is. There's a lady named Barbara Cadow, I hope that's how you pronounce her last name. She's a psychiatrist. She's a psychiatrist out. She's a psychiatrist to people who are rich and famous. And she has written a book called Rich and Famous But Not Happy. And she brings to light that how all of these things that we pursue in our lives, they don't fill us at all. They don't bring us the happiness that we seek and the joy that we seek. And so I bring you to Proverbs 15, 16, and 17. It says, better is a little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure with trouble. He says, if you have surrendered your life to God and you have submitted yourself to him and you have very little, you are actually in a better place than having a great treasure, but being surrounded by trouble. Better is dinner of herbs where love is than a fatted calf with hatred. So it's using the idea of meat, and I know it's not popular in our culture, but it's using the idea of meat with being prosperous and being blessed. And he says, you'd be better off just sitting down eating herbs with people that love you than you are having a fatted calf party with people that hate you. Let me tell you something. The greatest things in life money can't buy. The greatest things in life are going to be found in God and in the gospel of his son, Jesus Christ, who died for our sins and through whom we have a relationship with God. You just remember that. The best things in life, for us, they're free, but they were paid for by Christ. I don't know. Proverbs chapter 15, verses 16 and 17. Get out there in faith today. Think about that. God bless you. Bye.